For two shootings at a Carthage hotel in 2020.
Britain's Queen Elizabeth is ordered to take a break. I'm Ian Lee with what's slowing her down.
Also, how Scottish researchers are breeding cattle to reduce methane emissions.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A judge orders a Southwest Missouri man to spend the next 10 years in prison for wounding his wife and fatally shooting another man at a Carthage hotel. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, sentencing in a 2020 double shooting case. Lane Stevens changed his plea to guilty to second-degree murder and first-degree robbery for the August 2020 shooting. That's the date Carthage police responded to a report of shots fired at the Quality Inn. There they found 2 gunshot victims, 43-year-old Don Pierce, who was fatally wounded. The other victim, the suspect's estranged wife, 25-year-old Tony Stevens. She survived. Authorities arrested Lane Stevens in Lamar, Missouri, a couple of days after the shooting. The I-70, I-35 killer is back under the microscope as police release new information on the cold case. Lauren Traeger has more on the crimes that stretched across the Midwest.
May 3rd, 1992.
It was a quiet Sunday.
Nancy Kitzmiller was working at the Boot Village just off I-70 at Zumble Road.
She was alone in the store.
According to St. Charles detective Donald Stepp, she wasn't even supposed to work that day. She was filling in. And at 2:30 that afternoon, she's discovered shot to death in the back of the store.
Is there any surveillance video?
No, there was not.
Were there any witnesses?
No, there's not.
Do you guys have a motive for the crime?
No, we do not.
I hope that someone out there comes forward and says something.
For Carol and Don Kitzmiller, May 3rd, 1992 will forever be ingrained in their minds.
It's fresh every day, so to speak. We think about Nancy a lot. It just seems incomprehensible that there isn't someone out there that knows who did this thing, not, just us, but other people lost loved ones too.
Inside the St. Charles Police Department, this room is full of thousands of files related to the man known as the I-70, I-35 serial killer. His crimes stretch from Indianapolis to Wichita, Kansas, and this composite sketch is all we know of the murderer. It was formed from an eyewitness who narrowly escaped becoming the 3rd victim in the Wichita murders. But investigators believe the key to solving the case is what police believe to be the murder weapon. It's distinct and similar looking to this.
It's actually a historical remake of an old German Navy pistol. And it's the unusual thing about it is its barrel is long enough to where the gun actually has a wooden forearm.
We're not going to give up on this case. I believe he's still alive and out there. I believe this case is solvable.
All right, we've got a chance of rain in the forecast today, and
a
it's
little bit
stealing our sunshine. Michael Hayslip joins us with the first look.
Ever so slight. The majority of the 4 states going to stay dry. Big difference, of course, was that low pressure system hanging over central Kansas this morning, and that's what brought us the cloud cover. Also, it's part of a cold front, but interestingly enough, the cold front not going to be that cold. Actually just drop us kind of to normal temperatures, but you do see it begin to intrude upon the western portion of southeast Kansas, where Yates Center's fallen down to 65, and now we've got a whole bunch of high 60s ranging as the front slowly moves through. Compare that to the 70 to 72s that we have right now in southwest Missouri. So really, we've kind of topped out for the day. We're not going to have a whole lot of temperature movement with the Skywatch Storm Tracker showing us exactly where those clouds sit right now. But really, we're going to pay attention to in between about Tulsa and Oklahoma City for this afternoon and evening. We've yet to see any precipitation begin to show up. Jet stream now sweeping firmly through us, an idea that front is on the rise and also flattening out on the move, I should say. It's flattening out just a little bit. It doesn't have so much of a diagonal effect as what it had earlier this morning. Weather trend, like I said, we're just going to kind of hang here a little bit. May see a glimpse of some sunshine, not a whole lot though. And then, as Tanya alluded to, there we go. A little bit of rain forms for later this afternoon into the early evening hours. Rolls through, should be done with that by about 8, 9 o'clock. And then a little cool overnight because the clouds are going to track right along with the rain. One day cold front for the most part, because on Friday we're back up into the mid 70s, and then beginning on Saturday, we're going to roll a string of abnormally warm late October 80s all the way to the middle of next week.
All right, well, little warm up for the weekend, but we can
Trying to track down some historical data here. Hopefully I'll have that for us in just a little bit. I've been searching for it all morning long. My good friends at the Southeast Regional Climate Center decided that they needed to do a computer overhaul this morning.
Oh, no, how dare they?
And they're like, Michael, we greatly appreciate you using us as a resource, but not today.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, Britain's Queen Elizabeth has canceled a trip to Northern Ireland after doctors suggested the 95-year-old monarch should stay home and rest. CBS's Ian Lee reports from London.
Queen Elizabeth was all smiles meeting business leaders and politicians at Windsor Castle on Tuesday, even stopping for a chat with U.S. climate advisor John Kerry. But a day later, the monarch has been grounded on doctor's orders. The 95-year-old canceled a trip to Northern Ireland for health reasons. How cautious are doctors when it comes to the Queen's health?
So I think there's been a balance to be struck at the moment between what the Queen wants to do, which is a lot, and what her doctors around her feel someone for her age should be doing.
In a statement, the palace said the Queen reluctantly agreed to stay put and will rest for the next few days. A royal source tells CBS News there's no cause for concern, it's not COVID related, and that the Queen is in good spirits.
It sounds to me that it's more a case of just fatigue. She has been really busy in the last week with official engagements.
Just last week, the Queen was seen walking with a cane at a major public event. She has lived and reigned longer than any other British monarch. Throughout it all, she's kept her sense of humor. This week, a British magazine said she politely declined the honor of being named Oldie of the Year, saying she doesn't meet the relevant criteria and that you're only as old as you feel. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
The Queen's late husband, Prince Philip, accepted the Oldie of the Year award when he turned 90. He was quoted as saying, "It's nice to be remembered. Thank you for reminding me that bits are beginning to fall off." All right, that's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, there's a new push to tackle one of the planet's biggest drivers of climate change. We take you to Scotland, where the movement is behind one campus cattle experiment. And later, we're making country store hermit bars in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Methane is the gas passed or belched by the world's 1.4 billion cattle. Now, cattle are responsible for about 40% of global methane emissions. Mark Phillips traveled to Scotland and met the scientist hoping to cut cattle methane in half.
Depending on how you feel about meat, this is either a scene from carnivore heaven or it's a vision of the road to hell. Cattle graze on the lush green pastures of Scotland. The environmentalists will tell you that when it comes to global warming, meat, and especially beef, is among the worst foods we can eat. That the methane cows belch out while turning feed into food is a far more powerful greenhouse gas than even the carbon dioxide produced by burning fossil fuels. So the challenge is to satisfy the world's ever-growing appetite for beef while also producing less methane. And here at this experimental farm run by Scotland's Rural College, they think they found a way, because it turns out one cow is not like another.
Did it surprise you? You looked at one cow and you thought, holy cow.
Yeah.
This stomach content is a lot different than in this cow than it is in that cow.
There's a huge variation in the stomach.
It's all about the stomach. Well, stomachs. Cows have 4 of them.
We are putting them...
Rainer Roa is a researcher at the college and has been studying the digestive process in cows, and he's found that the microbes in their stomach not only vary from cow to cow, they determine how much methane the cow produces. And Rainer Roa's work shows that genetics can predict which animals will have the right microbe cocktail to produce the least methane. In other words, you can breed low methane producing cattle. How much less?
We are predicting that we are reducing methane by 50%.
Still, a 50% reduction in greenhouse gas production is not the same as a 100% reduction, which is what we would get if we just stopped eating the stuff. Mark Phillips, Scotland.
Interesting fact, cattle don't actually digest what they eat. The bugs in their gut do. Their food mixes with microbes in the first stomach and is then re-chewed before passing through the rest of the system. That's why you hear them referred to as chewing their cud. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
You know, some of the best recipes are ones that bring back memories. So join me as I take you back to a country store favorite of mine when I was just a kid.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
A little bit of housekeeping to get the afternoon started. As far as our high temperatures go, the thing I want to key in on here is our October average high, 76.5 degrees. So that kind of got me scratching my head this morning going, are we getting close to any type of historical records here? Because by the time we get to the 7-day forecast, you're going to notice we're just going to keep on rolling warm temperatures. And so as a matter of fact, if we factor in the daily high, daily low for the month of October so far at Joplin Regional Airport, right now, October 2021 clocks in as the third warmest on record at Joplin Regional. Transition up to Chanute ranks about 8th. So yes, it has been an impressively warm October this year. And it's really not our daily highs that are making the big difference. It's the fact that our lows are yet to drop down into that, low 40, high 30 range and be consistent for any type of period. Yeah, we've seen a couple of days where we've had 38, 39 during the morning news, but those have been rare, slim. And as a matter of fact, speaking of overnight, I did want to pass one thing along. That photo coming in from our good friend of the show, Emmett Sullivan. That is the Hunter's Moon, the full moon. It took place early this morning. Actually, this is from yesterday, but Emmett was smart because of the cloud cover that we had. But anyway, certainly if you and the kids want to get out and take a look at it, it's going to be big and bright for the next several days. And we won't have to put up with overcast conditions like this because as the low pressure system moves through, it's going to usher those clouds along with it. 69 degrees is where we stand over 7th and Rangeline. So that means that cold front is now beginning to press its way right across the state line. It's already affected most of southeast Kansas. Starting to see a little slip there in Welch down to 68 in Miami at 70, and compare that to the static 72s that we've had out on the east. So as the front continues to press, there's a cloud cover, but we haven't seen any precipitation arise, which is what we're looking at down by the Tulsa area on I-44. There's a color contour. It's not a very impressive front. It is when you get up in the upper plains because they've even got winter storm warnings up there. And another thing that we've noticed with it is earlier this morning it had more of a north-south tilt. Now kind of collapsing a little bit, giving you an idea how this will push down to the southeast. But what that will also do is keep all this storm in the upper plains. And so what we're going to get, the line that will kind of track right on the backside of the blue line right there is just going to be a slim little rain that's going to move through. Okay, so for this afternoon, I think we'll get a little peak of sunshine, especially if you live out to the west and to the north, because that's where it's going to stay dry. Clouds will depart earlier than anything else. And then overnight, yeah, we were talking about it not being so cool, but that's pretty normal, 46 degrees for a low this time of year. Here we go as we get into the afternoon hours. We'll see a little bit make its way to the north side of 44, but like I said, to the north and out to the west, that's going to be dry and already beginning to clear off as a matter of fact, but we don't even see any yellow popping up on future track. We're going to have very slim chances of any thunder or lightning, and certain flooding is not going to be a concern. Now, as this thing picks up toward the east, yeah, it gets a little leg underneath it, and that's why the severe thunderstorm risk map, remember the light green, that's just showers, not even the marginal category. It tracks all the way to the Ohio River Valley. We can kind of give an expansive look here. That's all that we're talking about. That's going to be the heavier stuff that the upper plains has to deal with. 7-day forecast. This is why I was scratching my head about historical record chances. Look at what happens beginning on Saturday. Roll 80s all the way in the middle of next week. And once again, the big factor being our overnight lows, not making a big difference in our mean October temperature. Look at those. Right in mid-60s for overnight lows. That's where we should be for our daily highs.
Yeah, I mean, like tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's right on par with where we should be. You look at Monday into Tuesday, yeah, 68. A 68 should be sitting in a top panel, not a bottom panel.
Well, for everybody who hasn't pulled out their winter coats yet, they've got a little reprieve.
I'm all about this action, boss.
Yeah, I know you are. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Yeoman 3rd Class Chloanne Heights in the U.S. Navy. The sailor served at the U.S. Naval Receiving Station in Norfolk, Virginia in 1961. She hails from Cherokee, Kansas. To Chloanne Heights, we thank you, our four-state hero. They're chewy, sweet, and all-around super satisfying snack. Howard shows us how to make country store hermit bars in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
When I was a kid, I remember my dad taking us to this little country store. If we were good, he'd let us pick out 25 cents worth of penny candy. And when I say penny candy, I actually mean that every piece of candy was 1 penny. After filling up our bags, we headed over to the cash register. Next to it was a tray of homemade hermit bars, and he'd always buy me one so I could eat it on my way home. So here's my take on it. We start by creaming together some butter and brown sugar. Once it's light and fluffy, we add in some eggs. Now we lower the speed and add in water, baking soda, and a few spices. Then we gradually add in some flour and mix it well. And what makes a hermit bar are all the raisins, dried cranberries, and chocolate chips that it's studded with. After it bakes and cools for a bit, we'll cut it into bars. These are perfect for fall since the cinnamon and nutmeg give them such a cozy taste. Plus, they're very moist, just like I remember. To get the recipe for our country store hermit bars, all you have to do is visit our website. Just one bite, and you'll know why I love them so much. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a memorable way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Little drop in temperatures out to the west, and then for this afternoon and this evening, here comes some scattered rain, moving up I-44. Light showers, nothing to worry about. Clear off overnight, get ready for one day of a cold front, then get ready for a warm October weekend. We're going to be rolling 80s all the way to the middle of next week.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, from Batman's new transforming Batcave to mini bumper cars, we're going to check out some of this year's hottest holiday toys and look into why some of them might be in short supply. Plus, results of a Crawford County Child Care Assessment Report shows a decline in availability, and a look at McDonald County Schools renovation projects. Hope you join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. That's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.